Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Yvonne and you are on Ginger Chick Rehab, where I love to take pre-loved secondhand thrift store finds and share the process with you, what I would do to these items to give them new life. So for my first makeover, we're going to be working on this metal cloche candle holder. I just thought it was really neat when I saw it in the Goodwill. So we're going to go ahead and just get it dusted off, make sure that it's nice and clean. So of course my idea for this piece is to paint it, and it's not the easy way of just taking a can of spray paint to change the color. I want to do a little bit of rusty crusty patina on it, just to bring out some of the beautiful accents, not just to leave it just brown. So first of all, I'm going to use some of the rust patina. It has a really heavy top coat on, and I really think I need the primer to be able to, some of that wire is thinner, some of it's, it's round. So I really wanted to have a good primer to make sure that it's sticking on there. So we're starting off with the Prime Start by Dixie Belle, and I'm just using an old waxing brush that I had that's kind of flared out, and then just trying to do my best to get every spot covered. Oh, so to get the inside was no easy task, but with a long handle brush and minimal paint on there, I think it worked out just fine. So now my Prime Start needs to be dry, and I can move on to my iron patina paint. So same technique. Usually I would do like a dabbing motion, but just the way this is, it's just kind of have to be brushed on here and there, because I always thought like rust is kind of raised and bumpy, but you work with what you have and you improvise for each project that you have on hand. Now while my iron paint is still wet, I'm going to go ahead and mist on some of the green patina spray. Now this makes that reddish brown rust color. So I'm just going to try to get all the areas misted. And then I'm going to go back in with the blue patina spray. And I'm going to have it on like a squirt mode and just do a drizzle here and there. Kind of like if this has been sitting outside where rain would have hit it. So the transformation may not be major, but look at just the beautiful patinas now that it has going on. So now I just need to seal that patina in with some Weather Defense metal spray. Now my next two are these little ducklings. I'm not going to say that they're ugly ducklings by any means, because they're so super cute. They have just been spray painted white. You can just tell that they have been spray painted basically. So I am going to give them a little bit of loving and give them the color I think that they deserve. But first, let's get these tags off the bottom of their feet. So now I noticed that one of the legs is cracked. So I'm not sure if it's cracked all the way through, but there is some movement. So it definitely is something I need to address. So I'm going to use some of the Star Bond thin glue to work its way down into that break. And then what you do with that, then after you put the glue in, then you use the accelerator, and within 15 seconds it is dry. I'm going to go ahead and see how much of this, these little duckies I can sand. Didn't say it was going to be easy, but I just feel like if I can get them sanded a little bit, get through that layer of spray paint into whatever the original coat is, that I can give my paint that I'm going to apply on there something to grab onto. Since these are just resin, it's not like it's going to be soaking into the resin. So I wasn't really able to sand as much as I probably would have liked to, but A little bit is better than none at all, so I'm going to go ahead and get these cleaned up with some Dawn dish soap and some hot water. I do know of a product that will help my paint adhere to this resin, and it is shellac. So I'm going to use a couple coats of shellac, making sure that I get all the areas of these little duckies covered. Shellac is a great porosity filler. I use it a lot for a primer. It really does help attract the paint to an item. And there's just something about a little yellow ducky that I think the curry color by Sweet Pickins will be super sweet. So I'm going for a crackling, crazing effect, not chippiness. That's why I really wanted these to get primed enough that the paint would attract to it. The shellac seems to be helping adhere the milk paint so that it is not just chipping off and giving me that nice crackle. And if you have not used milk paint before, it is a powder that's mixed in with water, so it's equal parts. Then you stir it for 2 minutes, and then you sit it off the side and let it thicken up for like 2 to 10 minutes. Yes, these were kind of acrobatic to get to be painted, but well worth it for the final outcome. But yes, so long as my paint wasn't too wet, it wasn't running, I was willing to wait for one side to dry before trying to do the other side, just trying to make sure that everything is thoroughly covered, but not so covered that it was dripping and running and pooling together. And I was glad that I took the time to try to sand it. Oh my goodness, and the shellac did what the shellac has been doing for me for milk paint and just made this wonderful, crazy, crackling effect on these duckies. Oh my gosh. So now to bring out that crackling and crazy effect, I'm using some of the Fusions aging wax to get down into those crevices and really make it look like these are aged pieces. Now it is going to change that curry color just a little bit. Oh, but it's going to be gorgeous. So it's a wax on, and now I can wipe off the excess. Oh my goodness, be still my heart. I just love the color. Now I could have adjusted the color a little bit by using clear wax first, but I was going to go right in for it, and I was going to go for it to darken it up just a little bit. One of my favorite places to look in a thrift store is their wooden section. Look at this. I know it just looks like a hot mess, but I love a good challenge. And who doesn't love an extra space to store stuff? A little true drawer cubby box. Oh yeah, you know, there's a reason this is always thrifted, is that it might be a little broken, or it was broken after it got there. Who knows? So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and take some more of that Starbond glue, and I'm going to glue that slider back in just to, you know, get it taken care of right now. Funny, there are some paper labeling on old vintage boxes that look really cool, And this ain't one of them. There's nothing cool looking about this paper on the front of this or those knobs. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape as much of that paper off first. I'm going to go ahead and remove the knobs also. And then one of the drawers I need to deal with because it has a chunk missing out of it. Then just the way this box is, the wood is really thin. And so you really will notice that piece missing. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of the Bondo wood filler. It's not going to take a lot of it by any means to fix it, but it's just going to give it that squared off look. So Bondo it has a putty, and then you mix a hardener with it. And as soon as you get that hardener mixed in, you need to start working with it because about 10 minutes it'll already be set up. So I just need a little dab on there. I don't need to make it perfectly straight as I'm getting it applied. I just need to make sure that I have enough of the space built up that when I sand it, it achieves the look I'm going for. And then while that is setting up, I'm going to go ahead and sand the rest of the box where I removed the knob, or I removed the paper, to kind of scuff sand the outer of the box to make sure that everything's prepped and ready for its new color. It may not have taken much of that Bondo, but it sure will make a difference in the final outcome of how it will look. So now I'm just taking some Dawn dish soap, some hot water, and we're just going to get this thing washed up. And just like I previously used some shellac, I'm going to use shellac to even out the porosity. You can see the stain, you can see the really raw wood, and this is just going to help with the adhesion of the paint color also. So I thought I would do a fun blue color on this. I'm going with the Heirloom by Fusions. Not only, like, I already shellacked this, so I have a good priming going on there. This paint has primer, paint, and top coat all in one. And you can see that the coverage is just amazing. The Bondo did its job. You can't even tell where I fixed that. And 2 coats was enough to cover these. Oh my gosh, beautiful color. So now I'm just going to add some porcelain knobs just to give it a little bit more of an updated look. Just trying to find center. You ever wander around the thrift store and think there is nothing wonderful in here today? There's just nothing. I don't see anything. Sometimes you have to look beyond. So that's the one thing I really like about the wooden section, because this little handmade cubby can become something fabulous even when it is not. So who doesn't like a little added piece of decor to bling up a space? So super top coaty, so I'm going to go ahead and take some 150 sandpaper and then sand some of that off to be able to scuff sand it, to be able to get what paint I want to paint it to stick to it. So for the paint color, I'm going to use Upper Canada. Look at this fun, bright green. Oh my goodness, as soon as I'm like, yes, this is the color that this needs to be. So I did not shellac this piece. I felt like, okay, it's got enough top coat on it. It sanded pretty smooth. A couple coats of this Upper Canada, and it should be good to go. So I'm not going to worry about painting the inside because that's not a fun detail to be able to try to paint. I'll just try to make my lines really clean. Not only was the Upper Canada a fun paint color choice, but we're going to be adding some of the mushrooms out of this IOD transfer pack. Oh my goodness, will these not make it just a fun little cubby box? So can you say that mushrooms have character? Because these three little mushrooms, they sure do have some character. So now I'm just going to go ahead and get these sealed. And yes, you need to seal your transfers in. And I'm just using the Homestead Clear Wax, which this size tub is now available just right off to purchase, right off of Vonda's site at the Painted Heirloom. Talk about an item that has seen better days and has been well loved. This little bucket definitely checks that mark. So it looks like to be that it must have been somebody's crayon bucket for many years. It's been painting itself. I don't know what's underneath it, but I do know that I need to get this ring attached back on so this bucket stays together. So basically what I'm doing is, this isn't a screwdriver per se, but as a staple removing tool, but I needed something to be able to touch the metal while I'm hitting on the hammer and then working around the ring to get it back down. There's a groove where this should be sitting in the first place. So if I get it back down to that groove, this should be nice and tight again. And then this blue paint, I don't know how well it is on there. It looks like a lot of it's coming off, so I thought I'm just going to test it out with some sandpaper, and I got my answer. So I'm going to try to sand, at least scuff sand most of it that I can. And then I'll go back in after I've got it sanded as much as I can and clean it with some Dawn dish soap and some hot water inside and out. And I am going to need to paint the inside to cover up all that crayon marks in the inside. And then you can tell where there's a little bit of the blue paint that has been sprayed also. And just as a precaution, even though the paint didn't come off when I was sanding it, I want to make sure at least it's going to stay and I have a good prime base going on there, especially where we've got paint and we've got raw wood. I'm going to go ahead and give this a couple coats of that shellac. And I'm going to go to my all-in-one paint, primer, and top coat fusion paint in the Bayberry color. Oh, look at that. That's just going to richen this up. This is not a piece that I'm going to be distressing by any means because there's nothing pretty underneath here that I want you to see. So I decided since I wasn't going to distress it, it did need a little bit of bling to just liven it up. I just love the watercolors of this IOD transfer pack. So I picked out this beautiful floral that I thought, oh, will just make this little bucket pop. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and as always, give me a quick comment down below which of the items I made over today were your favorites, and if I have inspired you in any way to look at thrift store finds in a new way. So again, thanks for watching today's video, and as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out this channel for the first time and you enjoyed today's content, please consider hitting that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know when I've uploaded a new video, and we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye!